Good evening, everyone out there in YouTube land. I wanted to share some of my hardcovers and some of my more limited or oversized softcovers I store with my hardcovers as well. So there'll be a few of those in there. But I'm gonna have to do it in a couple of installments because apparently I just switched from a Droid to an iPhone recently, and apparently you can upload a video longer than 15 minutes from your iPhone. So if anybody else who has an iPhone knows how to get around that issue, please let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and start off here. This is the 100 Greatest Comic Books by Jerry Weist, or Weist, however you pronounce it. And the intro is by Jim Steranko, and this is basically a countdown from 100 to 1. They had people like Jim Steranko and a bunch of other comic book quote-unquote experts. Actually the list is pretty damn impressive, I have to admit. So they say, what the criteria was for the countdown, and it's really neat. You'll learn a lot about the books. It tells you about the history and why they're significant in the overall history of comic books, and this is an excellent read, and I recommend picking it up. This is Great American Comic Books, and this is a large, very long read, and man, is it in depth. This is just a treasure trove of comic book history and trivia. He covers everything from the Platinum Age up to current, even, newspaper strips, independents, everything. I highly recommend anybody who wants to learn more about comic books and the history of comic books, pick up Great American Comic Books by Ron Goulart. 2 high recommendations there. This is the Marvel Universe expanding wall chart. I bought this. The cover's really cool. I don't know, this is like raised. It's some kind of it's almost like a puffy sticker, but it's hard. I have another book that has something similar, but I don't think I'll ever hang it up. This thing's, was it 12 or 14? Yeah, 12 feet wide. But it's this big flow chart and expanding information pamphlet. It's pretty neat, so maybe someday I'll hang it up on a wall. This is really neat. This is Marvel, the characters, and their universe, and this dingy, foggy bag doesn't do this book justice. This is a really soft black. I mean, it's baby soft leather. It's a really nice material, red foil embossed, and again, this has this kind of hard raised piece that's mounted on it, and this is original art by Carrie Andrews there. So bear with me, I'm still learning how to focus with this new phone. That book's a good read. It was more expensive, and it's huge, but I actually recommend this one. This was from the 90s, and this is 5 Fabulous Decades of the World's Greatest Comics, Marvel, by Les Daniels, with the introduction by Stan Lee. And as you can see by the damage there and there, this is a reader copy. I have 2 of these, actually. I highly recommend this. This is the more in detail, better chronology of the Marvel Universe. This is an excellent read. And Les Daniels is so damn good that around the same time DC had him do their 60th anniversary, DC Comics 60 Years of the World's Favorite Comic Book Heroes, also by Les Daniels. Pick these up. These are great. And the reason I have this one out of the poly bag here, I'll show you. Down here we have a triple signature inside this book by author Les Daniels, Jeanette Kahn, who at the time was the president of DC Comics, and one of my favorite artists, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. So that's pretty cool, and these are both excellent reads. Oh yeah, and obviously Lopez did the cover there of Superman. That's why he signed it. But yeah, these books that I showed, the last 2 and the first 2, I highly recommend for reading and information purposes. There's not many books out there that are better in that arena. So, all right, moving along. This is the Watchmen, the Absolute Watchmen. It's got a slipcase. It's a oversized hardcover. They enlarged the art to a larger format. They remastered the art and the color on this for the first time. and it's on higher stock quality paper. So it's worth it just for that. Also has all the extra information that was in the 1980s graffiti designs Watchmen hardcover. So this is the Watchmen like you've never really read it before if you haven't seen this. So I highly recommend this one as well for any Alan Moore or Watchmen fans. That is an awesome read. This is another one of the slipcase sets. This is the Avengers JLA. Again, oversized, higher quality stock paper. And this is... Sorry about this. I'm trying to zoom in. There we go. This is what George Perez is famous for. These covers with just so much going on. And this is also the cover to Avengers JLA number 3. But it has every person who's ever been in the Avengers or the Justice League. And that is awesome. And this has 2 volumes in it. It has, you know, the reprint I was talking about of the 4-issue mini. But also has an appendix that has... in the 80s, they tried to do JLA Avengers, and I believe it was Marv Wolfman that wrote it, don't quote me on that, but George Perez definitely drew it, and they got part of it done. It was never published, and the first time what they got completed was published was in this hardcover, and I believe that's the only place to read it, so that is really neat to see as well. Would have been cool if they got that done, so I love George Perez's art. Next up is Hellboy, and of more recent characters, I just can't express... enough how much I think people should be reading this book. Mike Mignola does such a good job writing this character, and it's great. You know, I'm behind on a lot of the books I buy, behind on my reading on a lot of titles, but Hellboy, he hasn't done a book in a little while. He's been doing those Baltimore titles, which I don't mind, some from Baltimore, but I'm chomping at the bit for more Hellboy, and I think that says a lot that I'm behind reading on a lot of the books I pay for, but I'm like, where's some more Hellboy? I'm ready to read it. So I really like this stuff. And this is the Hellboy Library Edition Volume 1. And the cover price on these is $50. I don't think you'll get a first printing anymore, but you can get these on Amazon for $35. And they're thick. There's a lot of reading in this, so highly recommend picking these up. This has Seed of Destruction, Wake the Devil in it. Also has John Byrne on some stories, which is really cool. But I believe Seed of Destruction is what the first Hellboy movie was based on. And, oops, these are out of order. But here's Hellboy Library Edition Volume 2. That has the chain coffin, the right hand of doom. The right hand of doom was what Hellboy 2 was based on. This is Hellboy Library Edition Volume 3. The Conqueror Worm and Strange Places. And here's Volume 4. I haven't even opened this yet. I need to open this and read it because it has one of my favorite artists, Richard Corbin, working on it. I've read The Crooked Man, the individual issues, but I haven't read The Troll Witch, so I need to open that and read it. And I need to get Volume 5 as well. But yeah, those, man, that's a steal at $15 under cover price if they're still doing that on Amazon. I believe they are. So it's good stuff. Alright, last, to try and keep it short here, it's a few art books, and this is Frank Frazetta Icon, and this is his art book, and he definitely is an icon. He's just one of the most iconic painters, pencilers, you know, pen and ink artists in comic history, and not only that, his art transcends comic into pop culture and movies and caricatures of celebrities, and you know, his oil paintings, you know, it's even fine art. His oil paintings have sold for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's an artistic legend and influence in every sense of the word, and he's one of my favorites. You should really check out his artwork if you haven't seen it. It's just beautiful. And this is one of his famous Conan pieces, and that's where I discovered him in these Conan novels. When I was like 6 years old, I couldn't read these books. They were the Conan novels. They were all written. There was no pictures. They were over my head, but I'd make my mom check him out of the library just so I could, you know, sit and stare at this cover for an hour. Love his work. This is Dark Horse's Star Wars Panel to Panel, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and it has a lot of the better art from the Dark Horse Star Wars books, which is substantial, and it's got a lot of good stuff in there if you like Star Wars. This is the art of Joseph Michael Linsner. This is by Image, but, you know, he's famous for Cry for Dawn, but I really love his work. He does some really elegant stuff, does good layout and design. I've always liked his work. And I don't think he gets the quote-unquote mainstream credit he deserves. He doesn't get a lot of the high-profile titles, but man, I'd love to see him, do some, some Wonder Woman or some She-Hulk or Zatanna or something like that. I'd like to see it. But the last two I'm going to show are, again, one of my favorite artists. This is a Heavy Metal magazine, The Best of Richard Corbin. And this is Creepy Presents Richard Corbin, the definitive collection of the artist's work from Creepy and Eerie. And actually, this has some of his work from Creepy and Eerie in it, the Heavy Metal does, and it's a lot smaller. So I recommend getting the Creepy Presents, because the Creepy Presents was $25 cover price. And look how thick this book is. There's a lot of reading. They've also done a Bernie Wrightson edition, which I got to get, but you cannot argue. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's $29.95, but I did get it on Amazon for $25. So, but you cannot argue with a hardcover that big for $30, and there's some of the best horror comics that are ever done. They did it. They picked the right guys in Bernie and Richard Corbin to do first. Because Frazetta is great, but he didn't do as much work as they did on. He was more of a cover guy. Did a few stories, but wouldn't be as big a hardcover. But a lot of people don't like Richard Corbin. I really like his work a lot. I knew something was going to fall eventually. But he straddles that line between cartoony art and realistic art very well. His line and dot work is great. I love his colors and tones. In the age where art is rushed out and they don't, a lot of the guys don't do their own inking and coloring anymore. As a matter of fact, most don't. And I think one of the things that really helps Richard Corbin's style is that he does all his own inking and coloring, and I just love the tones he brings, like especially here. Look at this vampire demon, whatever she is, vampire demon lady. His style is a little unrealistic and cartoony, but look at the tones on her body. Like, it's just these soft, gorgeous, fleshy tones. I mean, you look like you could reach out and touch her. His contrast and shading and light to dark is just so beautifully done. He's one of my favorites. And, look up his work on the internet before you spend money on it, because you may not like his style, but he is one of my favorites. And even if not, look for the Creepy Presents Bernie Wrightson, because if you don't like Bernie Wrightson's art, something's wrong with you. If you read comics and you don't like his art, there's something up. But they're huge scores for $30 in this market, in this economy. If you can get that much reading in a hardcover for $30, you cannot go wrong. So a lot of these hardcovers here get my high recommendation. So I hope everyone else keeps an eye out for some of these books. They have a lot of reading and entertainment value. But again, I'm going to probably come back with a couple more parts of these and try and keep them under the 15 minutes so I can actually post them. But again, thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch me and checking out my books. I always appreciate that. So everyone, take care of yourselves and enjoy your comics. Happy comic reading.